Alright, we're going to do one other thing here. This is a power chord rhythm drill here. It gets into a lot of the nuances of how you make this sound good. I mean, in one sense, this is very simple, what I'm about to play. But to make it sound right, you have to do quite a few little things right, and it's kind of fun to practice. So, it's this Green Day song. I think I have other videos on this station somewhere where I did the same thing, but I'm just going to break it down a little more carefully. Where the chords are, we're playing 3-note power chords. This is a G. That's on the 3rd fret, the G note right there, 3rd fret. And then these two fingers are on the 5th fret, on the next strings, the 4th and the 5th string. So again, that's 3rd fret on the 6th string, and then 5th fret on those two. That shape of my hand is going to be the same on these other chords. So it's a G first, and this is a D. Again, with the tippy of my finger, I am muting the 6th string. So I can just strum all those strings and not worry about what I'm hitting because I've got the 6th string muted. It's really important. It'll just sound awful without that. It just sounds awful. So you have to get that finger muting the 6th string. Again, so in this position, for this is the D chord I was talking about. 5th fret and 7th fret for these guys. But I've moved over a string, so 5th fret on the 5th string, and then 7th fret on the 3rd and 4th string. That's the D chord. And then just slide the whole thing up 2 frets, still on the 5th string here, muting the 6th. And then I move down to a C. This is the 3rd fret here with this hand. So again, the G down on the 6th string. All the other chords are on, basically start on the 5th string, 5th, 4th, 3rd strings. So that's that hand, which may seem like the hard part, but you know, with this hand you basically need to mute, and like I'm just fretting. By fretting, I mean pushing the string to the fret with my tip of my first finger, but then actually this part of this finger is muting the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings. Then when I play these other 3 chords, this finger is muting the first 2 strings and the 6th string. Now with this hand, I am just basically trying to hit those strings that I want to play. But if I hit these other ones, it just makes it click for a second, right? So now if I didn't do any muting, it would sound like this. Okay, now I'm going to mute again. Alright, now that's just this hand we've discussed. There's a lot going on with this hand too. One thing about a distorted electric guitar is that it's like out of control. It likes to be noisy. I mean, you can just turn it on, and that tiny amount of noise you can hear because it's called the gain. The gain is so high. It takes small sounds and makes them very big. But then the distortion puts a ceiling on how loud it can get. What this in effect does is it takes your low volumes that you play and brings them up much closer to your maximum volume. So like all the time it's loud and every little noise gets heard. So you sort of have to become a master of the extraneous noises. So when I'm playing there's a thing called palm muting, which I'm doing with this hand. My hand is like about a half-inch away from the bridge right there. Let me see if I can get close enough. You can sort of get an idea. I mean, it's right. I'm right there, and I'm holding the strings and keeping them from ringing so much. So if I play without the palm muting, it's like this. But if I play with the palm muting, it lets it play for a little half a second, and then it gets muted out. It's because I'm muting so close to the bridge. As I move away from the bridge, it would last a little bit long. It would mute faster. That's no note at all. Slide back a little bit. Still really no note. Now you hear what you're supposed to hear. Obviously, how hard I push with my hand has an effect too. You can actually push hard enough to push the notes out of tune a little bit. You don't want to do that. So anyway, you just find the right place. It's like basically where the skin of your palm is just barely touching the actual bridge. You're just right there, and you're doing this palm muting thing. Okay, I'm going into the other one. So the first one, and then there's some chukkas. These are chukkas. You do chukkas. That's not really a term, that's my term, but you do those by muting with this whole hand. So the change that happens with this hand is so slight, I don't even know if I can get it on the video well. But what we're just going to practice for a second here is so I'm muting all the strings now with this hand, and so instead of fretting like I'm doing here, I just go to muting. So these little chukkas happen between chord changes all the time in rock, and here's the all-time classic. Hear the chukka chukka? So you've got to be quick at going to that all mute thing, and it's actually so simple. I have a hard time doing it on purpose anymore. It just happens so easily for me now, but you got to practice it at first. So it's so on the second chord, the D chord, on the 5th fret here, you're going to mute the first two of that. So it's but then the last two chords, those you aren't going to mute. You're gonna let those. I mean, you'll mute here, but you won't palm mute. So for those chords, my hand's off. So it's so I use this song just because I know it covers those particular things, which are huge. The muting of both the palm muting and the hand muting, and the chukkas. So anyway, all those things add up to a great song to learn early on with electric guitar.